Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Back to the Blockbuster. My name is Gaius Bowling, and we are recording on a very off day because
Yes.
My brain has been off for a good 4 days.
yeah,
Wednesdays, not the typical day.
it's not. But we were coming off a holiday weekend, and I knew it wasn't going to happen on Monday, so I pushed it to Tuesday, and then I had some interviews and stuff to get ready for, and I still wasn't feeling great on Tuesday from the holiday weekend. So I like casually text the group chat, like, you guys just want to do this tomorrow?
And
Meaning
we
today.
all came to a consensus.
You could have literally told me any lie in the world, and I would have agreed with it.
But yeah, it worked out though. I talked to Playlist, and they're like, we'll just release it on Friday, and then just go back to our regular schedule.
Our regular scheduled recording.
Next week. Yeah. Whatever. It was a long holiday weekend. We all had a good time, and we now feel ready. We're all ready, able, and willing to record and talk about something because it wasn't going to happen Monday or Tuesday.
It wasn't just a big weekend for us; it was a big weekend for Tom Cruise.
Yeah, it was a huge weekend for Tom Cruise and a really bad weekend for box office predictions from all three of us. I'm more.
We're going to have to readjust our sensors because I think that even when I said 95 million, I was like, "Gosh, that's pretty steep." Like, that's even 10 million over their predictions. So
it's bullshit. In both of my logical thoughts, that would make this a lower opening weekend. Completely backfired. Once
72.5 was really low.
Wanted to go out there. Like, no one wanted to go. A lot of people, we had a lot of people going out, in our town, but it wasn't that big of a 4th of July, Memorial Day weekend. And then two, freaking 35 and up, crushed it and left, and they went to the movies. Damn it!
Yeah.
Nostalgia hit hard.
I was banking on those people to take their young kids out to the sand and whatnot and barbecue all weekend, but no.
Yeah,
I was wrong.
I was more mad at myself because I have to do the box office predictions for Joe Blow, and my editor in chief messaged me on Sunday, and he was like, "That Top Gun prediction is way off." I was like, "I know." Yeah. I made up for it with the rest of the top 5. I was actually close. I was close for Bob's Burgers, and I was close to the other stuff, but I completely underestimated Top Gun, and I think we all did throughout the whole weekend because the numbers kept changing. It was 124 million in 3 days, which is already a career best opening for Tom Cruise, because before that it was War of the Worlds at 63 or something like that. And then the three day total came in a little higher at 126.7. And then they had to do the 4-day estimate, which counts the Memorial Day Monday. That was originally 151, which was going to be less than the 153 made by Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End in 2007. So they were like, oh, it missed the record. And then on Monday, they were like, no, it's 156. And then we're like, okay, and then it beat the record. And then on Tuesday, they were like, no, there's more. It's 160.5. So that was the final 4-day number. We were all incredibly off. Because what it was going to make this
I feel like your predictions have always in the past been typically pretty, I wouldn't say directly a direct hit, but you always get in a good ballpark of, pretty close to all the predictions. And we all just completely we underestimated this one for sure. And I think it really just had to do with the fact that, who was going to predict a movie is going to do a Marvel 200 million or close in a weekend? That's not that's literally unheard of.
Don't let's not start that precedent. It's not a Marvel movie.
But all I'm saying is I think
it's a good movie.
I just think that this proves that, just like we were saying in the past, that Tom Cruise is one of the last put his name at the top of a movie, and he's a movie star, and he made a huge hit, and I think this is a great testament to it. And I actually love the fact that we're wrong. It's good to see a movie make this much money that's not superhero.
Yeah, I'm glad that we were wrong too. Yeah, I'm glad we were really wrong
on that. To have a non-comic movie dominate the box office for an entire holiday weekend, which has basically been reserved for comic books throughout the years for the past decade. Nice to see. I still won't put him as like one of the last Hollywood stars where you can just slap Tom Cruise's name. It's going to be dope. You can, because he only does 3 movies: Mission Impossible, like nostalgia movies, and or this Top Gun, or like something that's going to be like completely insane with stunts. So yeah, it's going to
be he's a movie star, dude.
That's not though. He picks the movies that are going to be the biggest. Therefore, he's like The Rock. I consider more of a movie star.
But
than
I feel like The Rock. I feel like The Rock does that too. Like most of his movies are made to be blockbusters. But
he does a shit ton of them, and all of them do fine.
By the way, I don't think Dwayne Johnson. I don't think Dwayne Johnson could have had this opening weekend over Memorial Day with like
Dwayne Johnson does not have any of this IP, so that's that. He also has 20 years of build up.
I guess Black Adam would be like, and that's not even proven IP yet. So like it's
Black Adam. I would say for my argument to be valid for The Rock, but that was just an example. I'm not saying like, but I just don't think that Tom Cruise, if you put him in like a movie with Fincher and like Tom Cruise was the lead, I'd be like, with David Fincher directing, I'd be like, all right, let's like this is interesting. But it's not a Tom Cruise movie. Tom Cruise just starring in it. That's where I would need to prove it to be he's a movie star.
But I don't think like even if you put Brad Pitt in this kind of movie, I don't think he can open it this big either. I think Tom Cruise's name. I think Tom Cruise's name carries a lot of weight with a lot of people.
I do too. I just think that, like, yeah, I mean, it's. I understand where you're coming from, Jack, where you're saying you don't see him in necessarily like a sort of maybe even quote unquote dramatic role. But I mean, this is kind of what Tom Cruise does, and this is what like has been the defining definition of what movies were, especially in the past.
And like action star then.
Okay, I mean, I still think that you put his name at the top of a movie and people are going to go see it. Yes, it's these huge IPs like Mission Impossible and Top Gun and other things like that, but that's the reason, because he has made those by being Tom Cruise. And like,
he knows how to market.
Leo DiCaprio, if you put his name at the top of a movie, he's not making $160 million in a weekend.
I don't think so either.
I don't know. I think
all these people like the Hemsworths and all, like Chris Hemsworth. I don't think he can either. Like, there's a lot of people that I think Tom Cruise. I like being a movie star too. I think it's more than just like, oh, he can open a movie huge on opening weekend. I think there's a lot that goes into it, and I think it's the opening weekend. It's how he decides to like. I called him a one-man marketing machine earlier at work. Because I feel like he is. I feel like he knows exactly how to sell his movies. And he made a comment on the red carpet about like, oh, like, what do you do with your time off? And he said like the red carpet promoting stuff, that's his time off. The rest of his time is spent making movies. Working. So that is what he cares about. He just cares about the work. And I'm like, I could make an argument that Dwayne Johnson also cares about the work that much because he has shown that kind of work ethic. But I think out of the big names that we still have floating around, someone gave me Sandra Bullock and Tom Hanks. And credit to Sandra Bullock because she did carry, like, even over the weekend, like, The Lost City finally made $100 million, which is a good feat for a romantic comedy because they weren't making that anymore. But even her, I think it's like, she's smart sometimes because she takes long breaks in between movies. So there might be like
big hiatuses.
There might be a pent up aggression for like, oh, I really want to see this Sandra Bullock movie. But I even think she doesn't have like that. Julia Roberts used to have it. I don't think she has it anymore. Tom Hanks, it used to be more consistent. It's not as consistent as it was.
Yeah, I feel like his projects have been a little bit
better example for the argument. Denzel Washington, I consider a bigger movie star. Like, I would see anything that you motherfuckers put that in.
But someone brought him up too, and I do kind of agree with that argument. But his movies, he doesn't have blockbuster openings for his movies.
His movies do well. Smith. No, yeah. Russell Crowe, other movies. Like, I feel like Tom Cruise Russell Crowe.
Yeah, I don't know about Jack. I totally agree with you. But 10 years ago, yes. Now, no. I mean, it's like Tom Cruise is still doing this.
For you, like Tom Cruise 10 years ago, yes. Now, no.
Why now? He just made $160 million.
Just because. If it was
Tom Cruise.
And if it was any other movie besides Maverick, a movie that got delayed,
that's what I'm saying.
But that's why it does so well too. Do you understand? Like, you see that he has the weight of the IP helping him.
It's genius because he's Tom Cruise. He created the IP. He can use that. Why wouldn't you? If Russell Crowe had Maverick, he would do it.
Okay. Yeah. And he's the driving force behind getting this sequel made, right? Like, he's the one that pushed for it.
Which I'm saying yes, I'm saying you're all both correct in that. But one, he did not make the first movie. He was a star in it. That was it. He made the movie because he was a good actor in the movie. Now he's a producer, executive producer. He basically owns the entire movie himself besides Paramount. Because he works so hard, yeah. If you continually made those movies on, but he's a movie
star.
Yeah, Jack, I feel like you're agreeing with us, but disagreeing to a point. It's like everything you're saying. I'm like, yes, that's exactly right.
A movie star is just a movie star, just an actor. You put him in anything, done. Tom Cruise does more. He chooses the locations. He makes the budgets. He fights with the executives. He gets all the cameramen. He gets his directors. A movie star, in my opinion, is just an actor. They move the needle if they're put in.
We have different opinions on that. I just think we used to have above the title movie stars that could sell movies, and then that kind of went away. But I think that currently, if you were to bring that back, I can't think of anyone other than maybe Dwayne Johnson that can do that right now, other than Tom Cruise. That can legitimately consistently do it.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure of it until this weekend.
Because tracking had the opening closer to almost what Jack had it at. Tracking was at 80. That was the low end, and I don't think anyone saw it. But here is a couple other reasons why it probably did really well. It got a really, really rare A+ cinema score, which is completely rare. That doesn't really happen. It has a 99% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, a 97% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, and even though over 35 crowd was 55%. All demos did really well. 42% of it was female. The under 35 crowd, the under 35 crowd was 45%.
Volleyball scenes.
So the under 35 crowd also came out too, and they said the 18 to 34 crowd came in at 36%. So it's just that movie hit all the quadrants it was supposed to hit, and it's good on top of all these other things.
Mm-hmm. Again, not disagreeing with any of those statements. And again, has anyone seen this movie on this podcast?
I saw it earlier.
Oh yeah, Gaius did. Okay, so yeah, I'm just strictly talking about Tom. If I saw it, we're talking about a different conversation. But personally, to me, I'm not gonna be I'll go see the Tom Cruise movie. I was not excited to see any of the last Mission Impossible movies. So
what? They've all been good, man.
Wait, I thought you said you were excited for the new one.
The new one because it's just ooh ah, I want to see the stunt, but ooh
ah.
I'm not really it's not I'm ride or die with that IP that the most.
Gotcha.
I think for a future episode, we need to have at least one other person, maybe two, and we have this movie star debate again and bring him into it. Because I want to see what other people have to say. Because when I did on G-Reels, a lot of people agreed he's the last one. But then other people gave legitimate names, but I kept some people even said Christian Bale, and I was like, he can't open a movie on his name alone. Not above.
What? You don't think Christian Bale cannot open a movie?
He cannot to think of stuff outside of the Dark Knight trilogy and his movies don't typically make a lot of money on opening weekend.
I feel like his movies recently too, the ones that he's been a main actor
usually ensemble. Yeah, he's usually ensemble.
Yeah, when he did American Hustle with Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner, he did incredible in that.
Fighter,
and also when he did Fighter, when he did Vice, he had Sam Worthington. No, not Sam Worthington.
Mark Wahlberg.
What?
But Mark Wahlberg, I'm going to watch that shit in a second.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wait, you're calling Mark Wahlberg a movie star?
If you put Mark Wahlberg in a movie, I'm going to watch it.
Did you see Daddy's Home too?
Yeah,
Father Stu. Our Father Stu. Did you go see Father Stu?
I worked on the marketing for that movie, so I had to.
Oh, really? Did you go see Father Stu?
It's on my streaming list. Don't worry.
So you're not contributed to that
this weekend. Yeah, dude, you're not watching any TV. Even though I'm surprised I did watch 7 episodes of another TV show.
But yeah, we're basically debating to have fun, but like the fact that movie made as much as it did on opening weekend is insane. It's good for movies. Like every trade publication wrote about how this is a very good thing for non-comic book Marvel DC IP to have like a traditional almost like action film open to that much money. And globally it opened to $300 million, so $300 million worldwide. Yesterday it had one of the best non-Marvel Tuesdays on after Memorial Day. It's I think $15.3 million. By tomorrow, it will have outgrossed the entire run of the original Top Gun.
Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah. So
I think this is good proof that the movies are definitely back. People are going to the theater.
I think so too. I would argue that more too.
Now I'm like, watch out, Jurassic World Dominion, because we're not gonna do this. We're not gonna do that prediction until next week when we talk about the franchise leading up to the new one coming out. But those openings for those movies have been huge too, for Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And now I think what this weekend showed too is that there's room for all these blockbusters, because even in the wake of Top Gun, Doctor Strange actually held well over Memorial Day weekend, and it's like fourth weekend. So there's room for all these movies to kind of play in the same sandbox together. Mm-hmm. I agree with Owen. I think it's just more of a sign that people are just ready to go back to the movies and have that collective like crowd experience again.
I also think that this was a good weekend too of a lot of big releases. I mean, people weren't flocking to go see Firestarter like we talked about, guys. So I think that there are certain movies and certain weekends where like a lot of good stuff is dropping, and I think that's like a testament to I think it's a testament to the timing of like this year. I mean, a lot of movies that are popular come out in this kind of day and in this time, right at the beginning of summer, dropping like the heavy hitters. So I think it might just be the start of the summer. Kids are going out of school. I think we might see a big summer for movies with a lot of kids on their summer vacation. So that demographic is going to be really interesting to watch on what they go see. And I think this is definitely going to sway my decision on, or my prediction for Jurassic World Dominion. I think it's going to be massive.
Yeah, I think so too. There's a lot of build-up for it. The early screenings so far have been pretty positive. That's probably going to kill it. I don't want to give a prediction for the second weekend of Top Gun, but I will ask: does it drop less than 50%? Because the opening weekend is so high, and you're coming off a holiday, or will it be more than that? Or do you think it's going to kind of have a really good hold in weekend 2?
So I think, because of my last week's prediction, I said that I think there would be more people going this week because they saved the holiday weekend and good word of mouth. So I think it stands pretty steady. Obviously, I don't think it's going to touch three digits.
Yeah, but, I don't think so either.
I mean, you give it, I don't know, give me like 70 to 80 mil, I'd be not surprised at all.
And that was your opening, almost close to your opening weekend prediction too.
I know, but
crazy. That's where we'd be at.
Yeah, I have to revert it now because obviously everyone wants to see it.
Yeah, I think that this is also a good movie that I mean, a lot of people would say, like, if your friends haven't seen it, good word of mouth. A lot of people are going to say, "Hey, I'll go see it again because I enjoyed it a lot." So I think we might get a lot of repeat sales for this next weekend. So we might see it maybe even higher.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. I mean, there were a lot of people in the comments on the Joe Blow comments for the box office that were like, "I've already seen it 3 or 4 times." Like, I mean, so many people were just excited for it. There are a lot of people waiting 36 years for it to come out. They were able to attract younger people, I think, based on like, there were younger people in the cast that they might be attracted to seeing in the movie. And then also, I think younger people also like Top Gun. I think there was like a misconception that like it is an older skewing movie, but I mean, it's kind of one of those like generational like movies at this point.
It's an absolute generational movie. I mean, as Owen said it before, there's no other decade that you're going to be allowed to play beach volleyball in jean shorts.
Yeah,
and make it iconic.
And the women came out for that.
Yes, they did. They did. I even saw like a Instagram video or something about like facial hair for every guy in their 20s after seeing the new Top Gun, and they all have the little Miles Teller mustache.
Well, let's talk about what else kind of broke some records over the Memorial Day weekend because people that didn't want to go to the movies could actually watch two really big things from home, and they really did. Stranger Things season 4 dropped on Netflix on Friday, and then Obi-Wan, I guess, dropped earlier, like the night before.
It drops at 12:01.
Yeah. So Stranger Things broke the opening weekend viewing record for Netflix with 286.79 million hours viewed in its opening weekend, far surpassing the 193 million hours that were viewed of Bridgerton season 2 over its premiere weekend. It reached the top 10 in all 93 countries that Netflix was charting, and then hit number 1 in 83 of those countries. Obi-Wan Kenobi was the most watched Disney Plus original series premiere globally to date. They don't release numbers though. They kind of keep those close to us. So, but I don't think they would be lying about it. I think they're boasting because they know they have pretty good numbers. But they said that all the Star Wars related viewership on Disney Plus outside of Obi-Wan Kenobi tripled in the hours watched during the opening weekend for people just like watching Star Wars or New Hope or the prequels, the sequels, the Mandalorian, all that stuff. So it's a big weekend for TV.
Yeah, and the reason for that is, ready for this? Oh, I think I sent you this on Instagram, but they have a new Andor starring Diego Luna, premieres on August 31st. That's the dude from Rogue One. The series will have 2 seasons, 12 episodes, and it leads up to the beginning of Rogue One. Then they have the season 3 Mandalorian. That's awesome.
February 2023.
Katie Sackhoff will return as Bo-Katan in her own season, teasing Din Djarin's return to Mandalore. Ahsoka will premiere in 2023, and Hayden Christensen is set to return as for the series as well. So more Darth Vader. And then lastly but not least, Jude Law will star in a new series titled The Skeleton Crew from John Watts, David Filoni, Jon Favreau, and Christopher Ford. There's so much fucking Star Wars, dude.
Yeah, this all kind of happened within the day before. There was like a Star Wars celebration day in Anaheim, California, and that's where all this news dropped within a day. I think a day before Obi-Wan premiere, maybe 2 days before. It was just a lot of build up with Star Wars stuff. They even used that time to like say when Indiana Jones was going to premiere. They were like, "We'll just throw that in there too, even though it's not Star Wars related."
Lucasfilm.
It's like it's Lucasfilm, yeah. But yeah, it was a really big week for. I think a lot of people are more excited for the. They did a big piece in Vanity Fair about the future of the Star Wars universe, and Kathleen Kennedy, who's the head of Lucasfilms and all that, they all agreed, Jon Favreau, that the future of this franchise so far, even though they're not done with the movies, is mostly going to be dedicated to the TV shows. Like they think that is where they are kind of striking gold, and they really have. I don't think I haven't met anyone that has disliked one of the shows yet. I mean, I've heard a few people say, "Oh, the Book of Boba Fett wasn't as good as I wanted it to be," but they wasn't nearly as much as a negative reception to like some of the sequel trilogy or like the prequels for the movies and stuff.
Yeah. Boba Fett really got like 3 episodes.
Yeah, I think they kind of feel like they can do the storytelling that they really want to do on a limited series like this, and they don't have to rush anything. They did say that the next Star Wars movie will likely be the one that Taika Waititi is doing, but they didn't exactly say when. Kevin Feige was also supposed to be doing one, and Kathleen Kennedy said it's not gone, but it's kind of on pause as they focus on all these shows. And like I mean, so far so good. If they've had all this success with the series so far, I mean, they might as well stick with it.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's as an audience member and Star Wars. I mean, I love Star Wars, but for me, this is kind of getting a little bit towards the I'll use a Star Wars term, the outer rim, because I'm starting to get a little bit less interested in some of these shows that I just basically kind of reintroducing a character that I enjoyed in the movie. But do I really want to see 12 episodes of leading up to Rogue One? I'd be interested, but I'm not like dying to go to the TV to watch it. Ahsoka's kind of interesting to me. I didn't really get into the Clone Wars cartoon as much as some other people did. So just personally as an audience member, I'm really happy that they're successful, but it's not something that I am like dying and itching to go and dive deeper into. I thought the Book of Boba Fett had a really, really slow burn. I like the Mandalorian. Baby Yoda is a hit or miss for me. So like there are certain things about the shows that I really like, and then there's other things that are kind of keeping me away from it. Especially when it comes to like Gaius, you and I were joking about this. It's like, oh, it gets good in like 3 episodes. It's like, well, I don't want to waste 3 hours of my life then.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily something I'm dying to do. But I'm happy that they're successful, and if they figure that they could tell the story in a better way using these TV show type of dialogue and the way that they're able to tell the story, then all power to them. I also just love Jon Favreau, so if he's in it, then or if he's helping produce it, then
he's probably just going to direct it. He's been doing like everything for Mandalorian. But one fun fact: I actually know the Mandalorian. The actor, what's his name?
Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal does not. He does not actually walk or like actually do anything in the Mandalorian costume.
Oh, he's on the suit.
Yeah, he's not in the suit. He's too big for it. So it was one of my friends.
He's too big for it. How big is he?
Excuse me. He's too small for the suit. So they needed someone to come in and actually just walk around and be like the
badass tall Mandalorian.
Yes. Anywho,
that kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's sweet. I'm pumped for like new Star Wars content, but I agree. I think we talked about it over the weekend. It's like the problem with Star Wars as an IP is that everything is canon because it's space and there's always a new planet. There's always a new thing because anyone in the Lucas family tree of writers, whatever, if they make a story, it's now in canon. Like at some point, there's got to be like hit the reset button sooner or later, because it's just like you're saying, I'm getting tired. Like I have no emotional connection to any of these characters. Like I watch all the Clone Wars. I mean, like I'm excited for Ahsoka, but like I'm more excited because I know that she's connected to Baby Yoda and lightsabers and the Force. Like Mandalorian's the only one where I was like, okay, you guys made up a character and it's dope. Let's do that, but like don't like, make up new characters out of the whims, and don't do Boba Fett where you bring the guy back 30 years too late.
I think they're just always so scared to like. I mean, I personally think like and after they made like the sequel trilogy and they were like, okay, I think we're done with the Skywalker story and that's finished. I was fine with that. If you want to create new Star Wars stories that go after that don't involve any of those characters, then I'm all for it if the stories are good. I don't necessarily need a connection again to, because they've done it so many times. They've done so many things with those characters. Like someone brought up, I don't know if we brought this up, but they asked Hayden Christensen if he would do like a Darth Vader spinoff series, and he said he'd be interested, of course, but I didn't even know this. I guess there's like books and stuff where like his character does cool shit between like wherever the start of A New Hope is, I guess. And so I was like, but you would have to know that as like a huge Star Wars fan. I had no idea until someone told me.
And that's my point. And so like there's so much stuff.
There's so much content out there, especially with fan fiction, and there's certain ones that George Lucas has outright said, like, I accept this into the universe kind of thing. Like you were saying, Jack, like you if you write a good enough story and George Lucas is like, that's dope, then you're kind of you're in. And there's a lot of good stuff out there, but it's like, I agree with what you were saying, Gais. It's like you really have to tiptoe around these Star Wars fans because there is so much content out there that if you do something slightly wrong, then you're not going to get any of it. You're just going to get bashed online.
And you're ready for this, right? Ready on before you even finish. That is a perfect example of what's happening to the girl in Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Like, it's ridiculous.
It's absolutely bullshit. Ridiculous. Anyone who's a Star Wars fan who's messaged this girl, you are no friend of mine. I will not speak for Owen or Gaius, but come on. That's just like, get over it, dude. You don't own this IP.
I think her name is Moses Ingram, right? She's on
Moses Obi-Wan. Ingram. Sorry,
she's on Obi-Wan. She's African American, and she's been getting a lot of racist comments from Star Wars fans who claim to be Star Wars fans. And this isn't the first time this has happened to a person of color associated with Star Wars. I don't know what it is, because it's like going back to like the Empire Strikes Back, it's like it's not like you had Lando Calrissian with it there, and no one made fun of that. Like there wasn't a big deal made about that. But for some reason, these new Star Wars fans are just like, I've always said that fan base is probably the most toxic fan base out there.
Oh yeah,
more than Marvel, more than DC. Like there's nothing that really makes them happy. If stories don't go the way that they want them to go, then they're shitty. And like it's just awful. I mean, I'm glad that Ewan McGregor came out and said something. Basically said that if you're attacking this girl online, then you're not a Star Wars fan. And kind of like, we had the biggest turnout for our show on Disney Plus, and we basically don't want to celebrate that with you if you're going to attack her because she's a part of that family. So like, I don't get what it is, because it's not the first time this has happened. These are just a bunch of nerds sitting at home behind their computer, like getting all brave and just being mean for no reason.
Or like, you're not Empire. I'm like, all right.
It's ridiculous.
It's one thing to attack a person for who they are, or hold on, let me get this correct. It's one thing to attack a person for like a bad whatever. Never mind. Just don't attack people just don't do it. Yeah, just don't do it. I'm trying to be like, yes, her character is a little rough around the edges if you watch the first 2 episodes, but don't attack a person for that. They didn't write the character. They're acting the way they're supposed to. They're getting paid millions of dollars to do so, and she's dope. She's terrifying. So back off. Not cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Star Wars people, not cool.
Yep. And in case anyone was worried about on Obi-Wan, director Deborah Chow, who directed the series, wanted to just confirm that James Earl Jones, even at 91, is providing the voice of Darth Vader for the series. She said his voice sounds just as strong as it ever was. So she said, like, fans will not be disappointed when they hear him. Apparently, I kind of wondered that too, because he's getting old. I mean, he's 91, so I was like, I wonder if he's still even interested. I mean, it's just voiceover work, but like, he's getting up there.
It's so iconic, man. You got to bring it back.
Yeah, but it's so wild. Like, so you're saying Hayden Christensen didn't say a word at all? He just walked around.
Yeah, I mean, the guy who played him in the original movies. I don't know if you know this story. You guys probably do, because it's like a very big Hollywood story. But the guy who played the body, like it was his whole voice while they were filming. And he went to the premiere with his family thinking like, oh, and he heard James Earl Jones' voice. They just voiced him over, didn't even tell him. And then by the time they did the second one, he's like, all right, I guess I accept this is what's going to happen. So he was cool with it. But on that first movie, they didn't even tell him.
That's so savage.
I think Hayden Christensen is fine. I think, I mean, of course, he probably says the dialogue on set, and they just dub it over with James Earl Jones' voice.
No, obviously, yeah, but because it's gonna be interesting because, like,
and is he gonna be talking without the thingy on? I don't know.
And that's what I'm getting at. Like, okay, Hayden Christensen's in the movie. My recollection is correct. He's not really a crazy stunt guy. So what's he bring into the show other than his name and his body?
He got some lightsaber work.
No, I know that. But that's what I'm joking about. It's like, did he really need to bring he could easily just have been at the press junkets and we would have no clue.
No,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He could have just been makeup.
His paycheck must have been massive though for this. I was like, at first I was like, no, because he hasn't been acting that much lately. But when you're coming back to something like this, and they really want you to come back, they really want you to come back.
You name your price.
You can kind of negotiate a pretty fat salary if you want to.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, of course he wants to do a Darth Vader spin-off series. I'm not knocking him, but I haven't seen him in anything recently
at all.
Yeah. Other than so of course he still wants to be a part of the universe. Every interview he's done has been so positive about Star Wars. I mean, leading up to this, he's defending the
prequels. Because he's getting paid well, bro. Yeah. He's got to say some good stuff about it.
Defending George Lucas. He's like, man, I know where my bread's buttered. I'm not gonna fuck this up.
Yeah.
So
but I also wanted to talk to a little bit about the Stranger Things stuff, because I think that number is pretty significant. I mean, they've been holding the top spot on streaming for Netflix for a long time whenever their seasons drop. And I was trying to think about what my reasoning for it was, why it's so successful, and I kind of came to the conclusion that, I mean, yes, these are younger kids, but they all did such an amazing job working together, and their acting was actually like on point. And I think that
Yeah.
comes from the direction, and I think that the interaction between the guy who plays the deputy and Winona Ryder's interaction
David
with the
Harbour.
kids was just so genuine, and
Yeah.
like I think that they all made those characters, even though they all had flaws, I think that they all made those characters very lovable. And like,
Yeah.
yes, there was a sci-fi aspect to it, but it's like I still feel like there's just something in the back of my mind where I'm just like, why do people like this so much? Like, why is this like the phenomenon that it became?
My theory to that is that would you guys consider Stranger Things to be like one of Netflix's like babies, like in terms of like one of their first like big hits on the streaming?
It was their like it was like it was.
You guys remember like when a show came out, it stopped the world. Like you had to watch it that weekend, or like you were just an idiot, or like you were the person who watched it 2 weeks later, and you're like, I'm fucking obsessed with it. Like it
That
was
was from word of mouth. I think that was from word of mouth, though. I don't think Netflix did anything
no,
for that.
I'm saying it was Netflix's. Like, it's Netflix's baby. They birthed it, but like it became their first show where it's like, oh, we can basically control a fucking weekend and then control the internet with like theories and all this stuff. So I think that this show is like the first show the younger generation would consider their show. And since they were younger when it came up, because it was very connected to them, 5th, 6th grade kids, like, you know, playing around with Dungeons and Dragons, and all of a sudden scary monsters come around. Had a little bit of adult, it had a little bit of adult scenes to it, but like nothing where it's like, my 13-year-old can't watch this. They can absolutely watch this.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it still holds so hard, because all of these younger kids have grown up with Netflix, and Stranger Things was their first show. Stranger Things might have been the reason they got Netflix in the first place, you know, where the family finally caved in. So that's why I think it's done so well, because of this. Like, it is a great show. Like, I mean,
yeah, I love it.
So I love it, but that's why I think it's like so nostalgic. Because like, dude, I remember watching Stranger Things. Like, was it college for us, or like just out of college for me? And I'm just like, I got nothing to do except watch 11.
Yeah.
I think the nostalgia factor for a lot of people plays a big part in it. I think it kind of brought back that whole like kind of 80s Goonies vibe a little bit, which kind of transferred to like why I think Chapter 1 did so well when it first came out. And also, like, I think for even people who are like in their late 20s, 30s, like, I'm watching Stranger Things, I'm watching this season, and the style of it is so reminiscent of stuff like Carrie and Nightmare on Elm Street. There's so many like callbacks on that show that if you're watching it as someone who knew of those movies when they came out, there's that appeal of it too, I think. Which is kind of hard to I think sometimes we harp on the nostalgia factor, but I think that has a lot to do with like why some of these things are such big successes as they are.
It also just kept getting better.
It got better and better.
Each season was even better, and the kids just became better actors. And like, it's really cool to see those kids grow up, and like, I mean, there is this thing online, like there's like an over sexualization of Millie Bobby Brown, and that's like something that's a little hard to see, especially from like when a kid's so young. But I think that in general, all the kids have turned out to do like great things. I mean, he was in the new Ghostbusters. She did Enola Holmes. I think the other kids have done some other of their own projects and stuff. It's like just seeing them become like professional actors is so cool. I'm just like hoping that they continue to be successful. Because like, especially the guy who plays Finn, I guess his name is that his name?
Oh, the guy who played,
you gotta tell me descriptions wise. Dustin,
the longer black hair.
Yeah, it's Finn.
Finn Wolfhard.
Yeah, I mean, he was in It. He was in It Chapter 2. He was in like which is basically the movie version of Stranger Things.
Yeah, I mean that younger cast has been. When you search their hashtags on Instagram, it's like millions of hashtags attached to the actors' names. Like Millie Bobby Brown has a lot, Finn Wolfhard has a lot, Gavin Matarazzo has a lot. That whole cast is just insanely popular, and like it looks like for the most part they've been pretty well adjusted. Like no one's like done anything stupid.
No one's gone off the rails.
Yeah, and I was concerned about the gap. Like when I first saw those numbers, I was like, "That's huge." I guess people had already caught up on season 3 because it'd been like 3 years.
Dude, I haven't seen just like with the show we were just talking, like The Boys, like just because I haven't seen season 2 in 2.5 years. I haven't seen the Stranger Things season 3 in a long time. And so it's like
pre-pandemic.
I really need to just rewatch all of it, and it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, The Boys season 2 premiered September 4th, 2020. So it was when we were all like hunkered down at home.
Like, God, dude,
it's like that's almost 2. And then and season 3 comes out on Friday. It's almost 2 years. That's these gap. I mean, sometimes those kind of gaps can hurt a show because it's like, all right, I forgot about it. But I guess the beauty of streaming is that you can just go back and like catch up,
rewatch it all.
Like you can't have a network show be gone for 2 years and then expect to come back.
No.
Like,
imagine trying to catch up on like 7 seasons of Seinfeld and like it's dropping in 4 months and you're like, fuck, now I gotta watch 7 whole seasons to catch myself up.
I mean, 24 episodes in a season at 22 minutes. You could probably knock out 3 in an hour and 10. It's doable.
But do you?
If you have nothing to do all day.
Not speaking from experience or anything or whatnot, but love me some fucking Seinfeld.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, but no, I agree with you, Gaius. I think that the just the wonder of streaming is, especially with these shows that you loved, especially when right when they came out. I'm not the best at like rewatching an entire series. There are certain ones that I like to go back and revisit, but it's going to really be, especially after 2 years, it's going to kind of be like seeing it for the first time again, which I'm really excited for. And this new season 4, I haven't gotten a chance to check it out yet, but I mean, even the actors, they look so much older. So I'm really excited to see what they have in store for us.
And by the way, everyone making TV, this sweet spot of like 6 to 8 episodes for a season that's how it should be. Like I was like, I had to rewatch The Boys season 2 because we did interviews with them today. And I was able to blow through all 8 of those so fast because it's not that many episodes and it's a fun watch. It's really quick. Like trying to catch up on the network show that's 20-something episodes. It's ridiculous.
It sucks when you're watching it though because you always want more. When you're in the middle of it, you always want more. On the rewatch side, yes, it's nice.
Yeah.
But when all you want is to have another 10 episodes.
Yeah. I want to ask you guys, how do you prefer, and this has been brought up a lot with how they drop episodes. Do you prefer the all at once like dump, or do you prefer like let me drop 3 and then like 1 weekly after that until
give me the dump, man?
I was gonna make a comment on Disney. It's like you're fucking making me wait all week for 35 minutes. Like, are you or like 2 episodes of 35 minutes with 20 minutes of credits? Like, no, that's not cool. Like, not cool at all. Give me them all. Give me them all. Let me choose when I want to watch it if I want to watch it all at once, or like my other option is make 4 episodes at an hour and a half at an hour and a half, or hour and 15 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine too.
They feel like mini movies
and not burn through it. Yeah, essentially like mini movies. That would be fantastic.
For me, it totally depends. It depends on how much I like the show. For The Boys, I would wait up until literally 12:01, and I would watch that new episode because I love the show. Other ones like Mandalorian, I waited until it was all out because I knew if I had to wait a week, I might not necessarily be dying to log into Disney Plus and check it out. So like there's certain ones that I don't love, but I'm like happy that to tune in every single week to check it out. Personally, I prefer the dump just when it comes to trying to stay into shows. And but I don't know. If I like the show, then I'm definitely tuning in every week, and I'll wait.
Yeah, I mean, as The Boys this weekend, it's the first 3 episodes on Friday, followed by 1 week until it ends in July. Which I'm kind of, 3 at once. I mean, unless you're, I kind of like the all at once dump because I'm like, if I want to watch it all, I can watch it all. But there is that feeling when it's all over, you're like, well, I want more, and I just went through all the. Yeah, I should have kind of spread them out a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
They actually think that Disney Plus and all those other ones are doing slightly better because they're not dumping them all at once. Like it keeps bringing people back to the platform to watch every week.
Yeah, dude.
So I guess that's true.
People are sheep.
Yeah, I waited for WandaVision too. I think when those episodes were dropping weekly, I was excited to tune into those.
No.
If I mean, I would say actually, the only caveat I would have, if it's an IP that has like a lot of background to it, I do kind of sometimes prefer when it is week by week, because then I can go watch like the Easter egg things, or I can rewatch that episode myself without like having the anxiety of just I'm going to watch the next episode. I can go back and watch it and kind of like pick up, and that's where I kind of start loving a show. So that would be my only caveat to the all dump. But yeah, basically just all dump it, because I'd rather like plan out my nights. Like, this is a sad thing to say, but I plan out my 10:30 to 12:30, like what shows I'm going to watch every week. How am I going to attack my
sweet spot 2 hours?
Yeah, and then it actually like keeps you away from something like when Inventing Anna came out. Jenny and I stayed up till 2 a.m. one night, and I should not have done that, but I just couldn't stop. Like, we have to watch the next episode.
No, yeah,
it was all there.
Like, I'm super proud of myself. I haven't finished Lincoln Lawyer yet.
Is it good? I haven't watched. I mean, Nev Campbell's on it, so that's the only way I'm interested.
I've read all the books.
Lincoln Lawyer.
I've read all the books the author has written, so I'm a huge fan. But yeah, it's better than the movie for sure.
Oh, that movie was good too.
Yeah,
the movie was good.
No, I'm not saying the movie was great. The movie was great, but like this actor gets it.
Is it like kind of got a dark spin to it? Because I don't know why. Maybe it was just the marketing that they kind of let out. It gave me a sort of like a Bull or like an NBC drama, like primetime drama sort of thing.
I think the reason it has that vibe because it was developed at CBS first, and then Netflix bought it. So that could be why that it has like kind of networky TV Bull vibe a little bit.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Didn't know. If you told me that Netflix produced it, I would have been like, yeah.
David E. Kelly shopped it to CBS first, and they were going to pick it up because it seems like something that CBS would like, just because it's the procedural nature of it, whatever. But they turned it down when COVID got all crazy, and then Netflix saw an opportunity to capitalize on like the books and all that. I heard it's doing well for them. It debuted at number 1 and number 2 on their chart when it premiered.
And it's funny too because Michael Connelly, the author of the book, you guys will love this. He's got a show on Amazon and on Netflix now. Dude is raking in money.
Good for him.
Good for him.
And like those are the books I would read like when we were out. Is like fucking the Harry Bosch detective books. He's got that show on Amazon. Then he's got another show on IMDb TV, which is called like Freevee or whatever now. It's a continuation of that. They're gonna make another. It's all. If my what to watch this weekend is watch this week. Lincoln Lawyer, watch that for sure.
Did you guys check out Love, Death, Robots?
Not yet. I still need to.
Not yet.
I knew it. I knew you guys wouldn't.
I have to watch.
The thing is, literally,
it is on my list for some. Like, it's not like for some reason. I think Netflix is now getting into the game of listening to people. It's like on my list for some reason, and I've never put it on like my likes.
I'm telling you, even just watch one episode. They're like 13 minutes long.
All right, I'll give it a shot then. I'll throw it into the queue. All right, we're gonna give a really quick hot mess update on Johnny Depp and Amber Heard because I was actually surprised. I was surprised by the outcome of it. I thought that neither one of them were gonna I thought they were gonna come out and be like, "Yo, you guys are both crazy. We're not giving you anything."
You guys are both train wrecks.
But as it turned out, Johnny Depp won his defamation case against his ex-wife Amber Heard on Wednesday and was awarded $15 million in damages. Depp was awarded $10 million in compensatory damages and $5 million in punitive damages in his defamation suit. The 7-person jury also awarded $2 million in compensatory damages to Amber Heard, but $0 in punitive damages. The funny thing about that $2 million total is like it's pretty much like the salary she was like gonna get for Aquaman 2. So if they are really like, hey, like maybe you did lose out on that because of what he said, here you go.
Wait. So is it confirmed like she's just not in it anymore?
No, her part was like cut down, but it wasn't because like he testified. It wasn't because of Johnny Depp or what was going on with him. They said it was planned from the beginning that her part would be smaller because they're focusing on Jason Momoa and Patrick Wilson's characters, and her part was always smaller in the script. and she wanted to renegotiate her contract, as most actors do when they sign on to a big movie like that, because it's the first one was successful. But
Which made $1
the
billion.
Hamada guy was like, he's trying to rein that in. He's tired of like all these actors trying to like basically bump up their salaries on sequels. So they put the kibosh on that. It had nothing to do with like her issues. It was more to do with like business.
Yeah. Is this going to bankrupt her?
No.
Well, they're going to appeal this to death, right? But like, I mean, in the court of public opinion, which is what matters for Johnny Depp, more like if Johnny Depp would have lost, I think he still would have came out a winner because like I think most of the effort was to really make her look bad, and it kind of worked.
Succeeded.
It really worked. Like, I mean, she tried to make herself, and I apologize to anyone that actually like believes her. I'm just gonna be straight up and say that like I think that she over embellished a lot. I think what really hurt her case was like in the last week or so of it when that TMZ guy talked about how like her people were like calling them to like kind of just be at these locations and make sure you get this side of her face and make sure you get like this part of her arm to like to catch like bruises. So it sounds like you're staging photo ops with your like your bruises and stuff from your alleged abuse. Everything just looks bad for her.
The thing is, it's really hard. It's really hard from a third party perspective. I mean, at the end of the day, my perspective of it is like, I'm guessing that there was abuse on both ends. His was, it seems, probably exclusively verbal, but hers was physical. And when you cut someone's fingers off, like that's pretty tough to defend. So I think they're both like not perfect people. She obviously has been like manipulative and like very kind of trying to control this case, and I do think she's a little bit of a sociopath, and that's kind of been brought to the light. But I don't think he's perfect either. But I'm glad that like she's been kind of shown as this horrible person that we've all known now for the last 3 or 4 years, and whether or not you choose to believe it, then the evidence speaks for itself.
Yeah, and like I think what kind of hurt her is that some of the evidence she presented, like it was so easy to contradict it, especially when she kind of like went to specifics, like when she talked about Kate Moss and how like he like pushed her down the stairs, and then they had Kate Moss come in and be like, no, that's not what happened. I slipped down the stairs. He helped me. He got me medical aid. So there were so many things like that they were able to like flip on her. And I also thought when she was trying to cry and be upset, I just didn't buy it.
Yeah, it was fake.
It just seemed like really bad acting. And you know, like I kind of agree with you. I think they were both volatile
actress.
Yeah, I think they were both volatile people. I think that they both have issues, of course. But you know, I think that after this, he's gonna get work, and I don't think she is. I don't think anyone's gonna want to work with her. It's gonna be too much of a liability to work with her. Like, I mean, it won't be worth it to some studio to back her, and for other actors to be like, you know what, I want to be in the movie. Unless it's like James Franco or someone like that who's still friends with her. Like, it's gonna be hard.
Dad joke incoming. She's gonna be Amber who?
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's like the main thing that people should take from this is that like men can be abused, and like that is something that can happen out there, and especially in, even if you're a celebrity, even if you're Johnny Depp, you do not deserve to have people physically or verbally berate you, and it does not mean that you're less of a man if you stand up and say it. And I think that that's something that he showed really well. She did not, and she's obviously an abuser and deserves to be punished. So it's like, I mean, I guess that's actually not what the case was about. I mean, it was about her defaming him and everything like that. But at the end of the day, the fact that that was brought to light, I think, shows good thing for social awareness. And I'm glad that Johnny Depp has the strength to stand up and say it.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of agree with that too, because what I'm seeing a lot on social media is not like a joke about men being in this position. It's like a lot of men who have said they've been accused of something and have been like, you know, amongst like the public being like, oh, you definitely did this because she said a girl said it or a woman said it without like even looking into the proof of like what happened. And there are cases where, you know, just because a woman says something doesn't mean it's necessarily true. I mean, that's why I think after a while, these like Me Too stories, like we would hear a lot of them that were like, okay, that's awful, awful, awful. And then some of them were like, well, that sounds fishy. Like they would
It's a
start to get
huge
kind of
gray
like,
area, man. It's a
yeah,
huge
yeah,
gray area, and it just sucks to see that her defense for his accusation was, well, you know what, he abused me, and like trying to turn it around as like an instance of like your main defense is basically just accusing him of the same thing he accused you of, and it's like that's really hard for me to get behind, and like
yeah,
it does draw a line where this I mean the Me Too movement is so important, but it also can bring out people that are trying to take advantage of it, and I'm not saying that is the majority of cases by far. Like that is not what I'm trying to say. It's like it is this big gray area, and it sucks that sometimes it turns into a he said she said.
yeah.
But in this case, I think it brought to light the right things.
Yeah. And I also want to point out, just to not put a funnier bow on this, because I know this is a serious topic.
Oh,
the real winner of this whole trial is Johnny Depp's lawyer, Camille Vasquez, who came out as a fucking beast this entire time. If she wanted to, she's probably gonna have like a bunch of high profile cases now. She could probably get her own reality show if she wanted to. But totally. Like all I watched on TikTok was like all these people doing clips of her just owning that courtroom like a boss. That's all that like I took from like most of that trial was like, who is that girl? That girl is about to get so much work from other people who are like trying to get off on whatever, they're accused of. So yeah, I think she is actually the real winner of this like whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard debacle, because and it sucks too because Amber Heard's lawyer was like an older lady and she kept like shutting her down. And so it made it look like really bad. But yeah,
her lawyer Amber's did not live up to the expectation when she hired her
at all. The last thing, which is the kicker, just to prove that like the courts were on Johnny Depp's side.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was the state in which they held the hearings. The compensatory punitive damage limit is only $320,000. Like you can get awarded $1 million, but you're only going to get this much amount because of the state. That's literally just saying like how much you got hurt. So for anyone out there, like
putting a dollar value on your hurt, that's where they kind of
essentially yes, that's what they're doing. And they gave Johnny $5 million compared to Amber's $0. So we're saying yes, you both hurt each other's business opportunities, but you, Amber, who hurt Johnny.
Yeah.
And if you come after Mr. Sparrow, you got Mickey on your back.
Oh yeah.
And Mickey is one tough mouse. And I mean this metaphorically.
Well, you know what? That mouse did turn their back on him though for a little bit.
Fired him.
That mouse fired him. That mouse was like, "Oh, we don't want to be a part of you right now." Like, so I guess they might turn he might turn back to him now and be like, "Oh, this is all over. You look good."
Are they gonna do an "I'm sorry" like apology letter to him and send him like a fruit basket or something?
No, they're just gonna send him a jar of dirt.
With a movie script for the next Pirates movie.
Yeah. Pirates 6, Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, and I think other actors still want to work with him. Like Penelope Cruz just recently said very nice things about him because she's married to Javier Bardem. They've both worked with him closely. She said that she would trust him with her kids. Like they're like Winona Ryder, who dated him like in the 90s, said that nothing bad about him. All these people who have had these relationships with him, even like girlfriends who have broken up with him, have not said the things that she said. And I'm not saying that means he couldn't have done that to her because he never did it to them, but it just doesn't, something doesn't add up. And
he's Captain Jack Sparrow. What do you expect, baby?
There we go. I mean, there's a reason there was a difference between him leaving the courtroom and they were like, Johnny, I want to have your baby. And then like Amber Heard leaving and it was like, boo, you witch. Like they wanted to like stone her. So it's like, I felt kind of bad because for anyone to leave a courtroom like that, it's awful. But yeah, the court of public opinion, man, he's a winner now. And he was winning even before he got this result. Like people were like already on his side. And she had her chance to prove it and she just couldn't prove it.
Yep. And that's
then
one
that's that.
thing where the American court system has done something good.
Fuck, I hate to like relate this part to like. I was trying to. How do I segue into Ray Liotta? Because Ray Liotta,
here at Back to the Blockbuster, we want to recognize the great life and career of Mr. Ray Liotta.
Thank you, because I want to, because he's in Blow with Johnny Depp, so I was gonna like try to do it that way, but I was like, no, I can't really piggyback off that nonsense. So that is a much better way to do it.
Gosh, I mean, so I was reading that he died of an aneurysm. So I mean, anytime I read that, it's super sad because it's super unexpected. But most of the time when I do read that, there's a little bit of a silver lining where they didn't suffer. So
he died in his sleep.
If that's the case, then if that's the way to go out, that's the way it happened. And it's just so sad because he's been such a great piece of cinema for a lot of different movies. One of my favorites that I was kind of revisiting, I was looking through his filmography, and his work in Killing Them Softly is so good. And I remember I rewatched it probably about like 2 or 3 months ago, and I forgot how good he is. And it sucks because he gets the shit kicked out of him in that movie, but it's like it's so good, and his charisma with Brad Pitt is just great, and of course can't forget Goodfellas. It's just iconic.
Yeah, a role he apparently fought very hard for. Martin Scorsese wasn't like entirely convinced at first, but he wanted to prove that he could do it, and he did. And I mean, almost everyone that has worked with him when he passed away had such nice things to say about him. I thought what Lorraine Bracco basically said, because she's in Goodfellas with him, and she was like, when anyone asked me what's my favorite thing about working on Goodfellas, she said she always says the same thing, and it was Ray Liotta. Because they have some pretty like intense scenes in that, and I'm sure they like probably bonded over the fact that like we want to do this really well, and like having that kind of relationship in the movie kind of brings a lot out of you as an actor, and when you're trying to like sell it and make it real. And I'm sure that like they got pretty close doing that, and it was just sad because it was unexpected. Like, I mean, like when the email popped up on my phone,
60, 63 or 64?
67, and that's not old. I mean,
no.
And from what people were saying, that he seemed like he was, in good health and fine. He was in the Dominican Republic when he died. He was actually shooting a movie out there.
He's got 4 movies in post production. Yeah, and 2 are filming right now. So,
he has like a Apple TV Plus series that I think he already finished. He did that. I think the Cocaine Bear, the one that Elizabeth Banks is doing with.
Nice.
I think that is already done. So he has some stuff that's left for us to see. God, that's always so weird when you like watch like movies that people are in like after they pass away. I thought about Goodfellas because Goodfellas is a great movie. He was also really funny. Like I mean, this is not going to go down as one of his best movies, but like I love that movie Heartbreakers with Jennifer Love Hewitt and Sigourney Weaver, and they play like grifters basically, and he's one of the people that they steal from, and that cast is just all really funny together, and he's like so over the top funny in it. And I also remember him in Hannibal, and like Hannibal, it's mostly because he has a scene towards the end, like when that movie first came out, was a huge deal because of course Hannibal is a sequel to Silence of the Lambs, and the movie itself is not that gory until the last 10 minutes, and Ray Liotta is like drugged out in a chair, and Julianne Moore is like tied to another chair, and Hannibal Lecter is like preparing like a meal basically, and he, like cuts the top of his head open and like feeds him his own brains.
Oh my god!
And then like they actually, if they're on the, I mean, you guys don't have like DVDs anymore or whatever. On the DVD, there's like scenes of them filming that, and like just kind of goofing off, and like he's like fake drooling, and like they're trying to like laugh in between takes, like doing this, but it's all so ridiculous. But yeah, he did a lot of. I mean, a lot of people said that he had this like kind of like intensity about him and his performances and the roles that he played. But
Oh,
they all
100%,
said,
man.
that he was like a teddy bear, like he was a sweetheart, like he was.
I love hearing that, man. I love hearing that because he's just he has such an intimidating presence. I mean, just even look like his straight face. If he stared you down, like that's the definition of staring daggers. It's I'm so glad to hear that he was such a pleasure to have on set.
I'm just happy that he's a part. He's going to be a part of American history for two roles.
Yeah.
So 2 roles specifically: Shoeless Joe Jackson and Field of Dreams. Just like that is literally like one of the most iconic roles ever. No one's ever like played a baseball player, and everyone still remembers him to this day of that. And then Goodfellas. So like that's an Italian Americana movie right there. So those are his 2 staples, and I'm happy he got both of those because they're 2 different movies, and they're both when he was younger, obviously, but he was just fantastic. And as Owen says, he was a very, very intense person in the from the nose up, just staring at you. Just he was intense.
Yeah,
like he can like goosebumps. Like, legit goosebumps. You know, like someone made a point too. Like they were like, you would think after Goodfellas that he would have like a ton of major roles, and like he consistently worked. But I think he just liked being a working actor. It wasn't necessarily like trying to like be a movie star. And like
I feel like he wasn't trying to one up himself. He just was happy to be in good movies, and that's what I appreciate about that.
Yeah, another one I just saw, like Copland, is really good. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's him, Sylvester Stallone, and Robert De Niro. It's a really good drama that probably deserves more attention.
John Q.
He's in John Q. And of course, we mentioned Blow. That's a great movie. The movie Narc is really good.
Smoking Aces.
He's been in some.
Jack. He's a perfect. Exactly like what you were talking about. He's just an actor. He's not stepping behind the camera. He's not directing anything. He is just a full-blooded movie actor.
Now I say to that argument, if he put asses in the seats every single time he went in those movies, then that would put my definition of movie star.
Movie star.
That's the last we will hear of this. That's the last we will hear of this argument.
The great movie star debate of 2022. But yeah, I mean, I think we said all we could say. I mean, I watched Goodfellas a bit that night. Just someone on Instagram was like, "Well, why do people who don't know these people get so upset when these people pass away because they don't know them?" But like, you're attached to like the art for some of these people. Like, you grew up watching it. It's something significant from your life that kind of you respond to, especially with actors who are in a bunch of things that like you kind of pinpoint from different parts of your life. And then of course when anyone passes away, it's sad, but when you have that, I think you kind of have that kind of connection through art sometimes. And I think that's why a lot of people get they get more upset than they probably normally would.
Totally. And I'll equate it to the same thing. I mean, I'm literally wearing my Mac Miller T-shirt right now, and it's like
from me.
And I no, I ordered this is off Instagram.
No, I was my example. Fuck you, dude.
Oh yeah, no, it's just like like this is something that you grow up with, and I know when in the '90s when Kurt Cobain died, like people who didn't know him felt a lot of things about that, and like for something like when you're younger and you see the posthumous stuff on the Oscars, you're like, oh yeah, that actor died, and you hear your parents go, oh my gosh, I didn't even know, or like that's so sad, like I can't believe that this person passed away. It's like when you kind of grow up watching these things and a piece of you is always kind of been taken up by that movie or by that song or something like that. It's just, it hits you in a different spot. And this one's tough. This one's really tough. Yeah. It's one of those things where you kind of read it for the first time, and in our generation, there's so many fake obituaries that kind of go out there as like scam that you just click on a website. So sometimes I don't believe the first time, but then you check again and then it's on like the Wall Street Journal or something, or like on a like reputable website. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that it actually happened.
I will say too, I think it's more acceptable to be broken up over a musician rather than an actor. Just like they're in our ear all the time. I would have to sit down and watch and dedicate time to pay attention to it. I'm not saying I wouldn't be upset, like if I can't think of anybody, but
yeah, that's an interesting thing to say. I think
we were
that's kind
very
of true.
upset. Yeah, we were very upset about Mac Miller, like very upset. Like, still am upset.
I think it's the whole concept of like that's the person creating the art. They're the one that like they're so much associated with it, like the
That's what I was
writing
gonna
of it
say
and all
too.
that stuff.
It's like I'm never gonna talk to my friends about the time like we watched Mission Impossible in the basement, but we will talk
Yeah,
about that one time we had like the epic car like road trip where we blasted Mac Miller throughout the entire thing, and you associate that with the memory rather
yeah.
than like sitting quietly. So
And I
it's
think you can get that if
totally
a
acceptable.
filmmaker. I think if a filmmaker passes away, you might be able to get something similar to like
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Steven
Yeah.
Spielberg passes away. It's like, oh shit, like that guy was my childhood.
Yeah.
Like you know, like so yeah.
Yeah,
There's I agree.
certain songs as art can evoke different emotions based on what you're going through in life, and they can mean different things to you based on different times in your life, I guess you could say. Whereas a film is going to be kind of more of a singular reaction, and kind of, hey, I really enjoyed that, or like I used to watch that with my dad, and so we loved Ray Liotta, or something like that. Like there
Yeah,
could be
yeah,
different parts. Like
No.
maybe
Yeah.
a movie might make you feel, an actor passing away might make you feel differently of an artist, but yeah, I think it just shows that when artists die, it's really sad because they're
yeah.
creating stuff for the masses, and when you love it and they're no longer around to make anything else, it's just the world's a little less bright.
Yeah. And you know what? And we're not ending this necessarily on the sad note because he left behind like a lot of good stuff for people to discover and
Great
watch.
legacy.
And you know, this is someone that consistently works throughout a lot of years, and there's different facets of his career and different times where you can explore his career. So like, do yourself a favor and explore his IMDb and kind of discover some of his performances. You said Goodfellas and Field of Dreams. Something Wild is another really good one that's early in his career. That's
Killing Them
he's really
Softly.
great.
Watch that one.
Yeah, really great in. Yeah, I mean, everyone wants their one defining role, their defining movie, and I think he had more
He
than one.
definitely had
More than
hits.
one. Yeah, so props to you, Ray Liotta. And yeah, I mean, left us with a lot of good memories, I would say.
Yeah, yes, he did. He is back to the blockbuster approved. No need to dive
forever,
deep.
forever. But yeah, I mean, that's gonna end it for this week. Next week, we kind of go back a little bit to more than just like the news show. We're kind of gonna jump into Jurassic Park / World because the new one comes out on the 10th. I'm
Bringing back some old faces.
We're bringing back some old, like, it's gonna be fun to kind of explore those again because I actually haven't watched Jurassic Park 3 in forever, and
I have 2 words for you that I'm excited for.
what?
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum. Yeah, I'm just happy that they are all, and the new one. I'm happy that they're all back in like a larger capacity. That they're actually blending Jurassic Park with Jurassic World, and ending.
It's not like at the end of the movie, like, oh yeah, we were here the whole time, kind of thing.
But yeah, next week we're gonna look back at the older films and kind of see how they, not like a long time on each one, but see how if they still hold up. Particularly the older ones. I think Jurassic Park will hold up forever, so that might be a moot point. but yeah, it'll be a fun one, and then we'll get ready for Jurassic World Dominion next week, and we will make sure to, and we will make sure to brush up on our predictions for that. I will actually do better research on tracking for that particular movie, and not underestimate.
Yeah, we have contacts for tracking numbers.
Yeah, I will not underestimate the power of people who love dinosaurs. I don't know. Whoever's going to rush out and go see it.
Everyone.
But yeah, that'll be next week. So, Owen, you can sign us off.
Yeah, as always, not a Monday, but love recording with you guys, talking about movies and just some of the stuff that we like to watch. I mean, it's always a good time, even if we don't always agree. I mean, I think that's what makes this podcast fun, is that we have different opinions and we like to challenge each other with our thoughts. And I think that's always the most thing important. I mean, this show would be a little boring if all we did was just say yes and you're right. So it's good to have a few different opinions when it comes to what's going on. And just want to shout out Ray Liotta again. I mean, it's great to talk about him and celebrate him. And yeah, if you guys want to keep checking us out, we love the fact that you guys have kept listening and been rating us well on Good Pods. I like to listen on Spotify, but Apple Podcast seems to be the place where most people are tuning in. So keep doing that. I think we're still on Google Podcasts, anywhere that you want to listen to a podcast. And Gordon, my cat, was very heavily in this today. He was
knocked over your microphone.
Yeah, knocked over my microphone. So if you want to see his cute little face, then you're more than welcome to check us out on YouTube as well.
That's funny.
And don't forget, people, ladies and gentlefish, I'm leaving you with one homework assignment this week. Please like, subscribe, share, leave a comment, and share with a friend. Tell them about the pod. We appreciate all of it. The algorithm is our friend when you guys do your homework. Have a great weekend, guys.
Exactly. Also, check out Gaius's interviews with the boys on Joe Blow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They'll be up
Friday.
They'll be up Friday. Exciting. Peace out.
All right. Peace, guys.